sink out of the bottom of the frame, followed by sodden, orthostatic threads of hair erect at the back of the head as if from terror. And after that, so much water. It rushes, famously mixing with the darkened blood, filling the empty drain with torrents of a sad admixture. The liquid rush moves in a fast counterclockwise, delimiting the contours of the hungry aperture as the water rushes down right into the drain. But then at once the tempo changes, and in place of the frenetic oral shrieks, rapid-fire cuts, and burning stream of wasted water, a slow, almost languid image appears, superimposed underneath the churning metal void. It comes into relief first by its opposing orbit, a twisting turn to the right. As the spin weakly makes it journal of 60 degrees, the extremely proximate image of one magnified eye emerges out of the muddy dissolve. Its vertical oval centered in a frame in which the edges are the skin's negative space, a flat expanse of shadowy crepe on the left, and two well-etched lines cutting into the forehead on the right. At the very moment the eye stills in its rotation, revealed at the bottom center of the frame, at the darkened corner of the tender inner duct, is one small, fat tear. As the camera pulls out from eye to face, more tears are revealed, first under the eye, then more on the bridge and the side of the nose, on the upper lip, and all this at the same time as a droplet falls from a matted twist of hair to the bathroom floor. The effect is to retroactively place under suspicion the truth of that tear that may just be a drop, that tear that does not fall, that sits thickly next to the eye without revealing its source or its embodied secret. It's the end of the quotation. So she's taking this one peculiar image from a film and saying, how can we think about that tear? Where it comes from, what explains it, what it's doing there, what it's telling us, what it's asking us to think about, and off we go, thinking about crying. Okay? So let me just give you a summary of some of the questions that this tear might produce for us, and then think about ways of thinking about crying that might bring us to think about Queer Eye, which is after all titled after the eye itself. Okay? The eye that can cry, but the eye that shows us the tear. So some questions about crying that we might think about. Is emotion an active production from within us, or a passive subjection to something from the outside? Do we decide to cry, or does something come and make us cry? And are we in charge of that? Right? How much control do we have over this active or passive range? It makes us think about the relationship between our interior states and our exterior expressions. When you feel troubled, do you show that? Do you choose whether you can show that? If you feel extreme sadness, do you cry? Do you withhold tears? Do you tremble, trying not to? Right? What is that relationship between the interior of what we feel or believe and the exterior of what we show? What is the possibility of making visible this idea that we have of our soul? Right? This elusive construct that lives somehow inside of us. We don't know where. Where is your soul? Is it in there, right? But somehow it speaks. And it often speaks in tears, in a weeping ecstasy in the history of Western iconography. In all sorts of ways, the soul is given legibility. It makes us think about how we order physical sensations with mental impressions. What is the role of our mind in relation to things that we feel? Can we correlate those? Do they come in happy harmony? Or are they sometimes at odds with one another? They might make us think about the human's unique difference from animals. Do animals cry? Do animals reveal themselves and their sadness through tears? Are there differences, or is there sameness between humans and the rest of our animal brothers and sisters? Do your cats cry? Does your dog cry? Do you know when animals are sad? Do you know when they're experiencing emotions? How do you think about your relationship to other animals, because we are, after all, animals? And then finally, how do we think of tears as the sign of some interior truth? Right? In the sense that, at least since psychoanalysis, other paradigms of 20th century suspicion, we maybe on the outside look to be pretty with it, coherent people with no problems. But on the inside, something else might be going on. And that might be seen as a kind of falsity or a kind of disease, like hysteria, right? Where the body is erupting and doing stuff that's telling a different truth than what you're trying to present, right? So some interpretable sign of what's actually inside, right? So the tear might make us think about all of these questions that have been with us since ancient philosophy, Eastern and Western, to the present day. Okay? They're huge questions about who we are as human beings and about how we express what's inside of who we are, how we read each other, how we come to feel with one another. So what I want to propose is that we think about tears as primarily intersubjective. Do you know what that word means? Intersubjective? About our relations to one another as human beings. What do you do when someone next to you is crying? That's a question for you. What do you do when someone next to you is crying? Try to comfort them. You feel with that person. Right? If someone next to you is crying, you feel pain or sadness. It's not yours, but you share it. You want to feel with that person. Right? And in English, there are two terms for that. They're very closely aligned. One is sympathy, feeling with, pathos, feeling sim with, sympathy. Another is empathy, right? Which is perhaps more about putting yourself in the position of the person who's feeling pain or sadness, the cause of whatever the tear is. Right? And so philosophers, at least since the 19th century, have been very interested in the way that we place ourselves in the situation of another. And that's something that tears often make us do or ask us to do, right? Unless you're a horrible person and you just go like this, right? Most of us, we want to comfort and hold and feel with, put ourselves in the position of the other person, right? That's a fundamental part of what it means to be human, is the capacity to feel empathy, right? To put oneself. So a theorist like Adam Smith, an important economist in the 18th century, says, by the imagination, we place ourselves in his situation. We conceive ourselves enduring all the same torments. We enter, as it were, into his body and become in some measure the same person with him. So for thinkers like Smith onward, the tear is not the sign of some internal thing that we can't communicate. It's this invitation to be with one another. It's the possibility of being with one another. It's the possibility of entering another person's reality and experiencing emotion in his or her place. And we've all said to a friend or to a family member, I don't know what it is to be you, but I'm trying to feel what you're feeling. I'm trying to understand who you are by feeling with you. Not just knowing or listening, but feeling, right? So the tear unfolds, and it unfolds a set of relations. It doesn't just show us the inside of who we are, but it unfolds a set of relations where we are in relation to one another. And that, in fact, might be a definition of affect, of this term affect, which is the capacity to be affected. Right? It's both the capacity to affect, but the capacity to be affected. And you're going to talk about that all semester, right? Okay, so I want to show you a different example. This one involves a lot of dialogue. So if it's hard for you to understand or to hear, we can play some of it again, right? Can you look up, it's called Try Not to Cry, watching the emotional bits of Queer Eye is on YouTube. Just, okay, so Try Not to Cry. And then Queer Eye. Yeah. And let me just set it up before we play it.
He gave the vision.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just set this up. So what's interesting about the new season of Queer Eye is that they transpose the base of their Fab Five to Atlanta, Georgia, which is in the American South, the south of the United States. And in the south of the United States, the there's an interesting infrastructure for television production. That's why they go there, because it's cheaper. But the effect of it on the series itself is that they engage very explicitly with racial conflict, with black-white relations in the United States, which are charged in the American South, which was the site of slavery, plantation economy, and so on, has this legacy of racial injustice and racial strife. So a lot of what they're trying to confront here is conservative politics in the American South. And so they're switching their location and their attention to try and take on some of this stuff head on, to really address it. So this is a montage meaning a set of small vignettes taken from different episodes that highlight the most emotional moments of those episodes put into one compilation. So you're going to see a lot from different episodes. Each episode is an hour. So this is only 12 and a half minutes, right? So it's very abbreviated. But it's the point in each episode where we're meant to weep, right? Where spectators cry. And they're crying in relation to characters crying. So I will be crying as we watch this. This is very moving. And maybe you'll cry. We'll see if you cry. And then if we need to, we can replay it, because it's hard to maybe to understand, and a lot of sound.
Us will wind up together. Even before you were formed in your mother's womb, he knew you. I'm thankful. Oh, come here, Anthony. Anthony. Oh, baby.
Can I read a letter that I wrote to him?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I would love to.
Okay. Dear Dad, it hasn't rained in a week, but as I reflect on you, the sky has suddenly opened and poured out everything it can no longer hold. Yesterday and countless other days, I am overwhelmed by emotion, and it too pours out. Through it all, I know you would want me to live my fullest life, carrying on your name and legacy even further than you did. And if what people say is true, our loved ones really do look down on us from heaven, then you already know that I'm well on my way, being what you want of me. If what people say is true, then you also know that I'm gay. These three words have been an enormous wall between us. I'm sorry for not tearing down the wall sooner. You were an incredible dad and didn't deserve to be left out. Love, your son. So, I thought it was important to tell you my truth, that I'm gay. I wish I could share this moment with Dad and see how happy I am, and
I'm happy for you.
I'm sorry for keeping it from you.
That's fine.
But the past 6 or 7 years, they've been a trying time for me. I've dealt with so much stuff that I can talk about. I just said I hit you. I don't think I would be here today if I didn't have some people, some friends, some family like you. Not being honest, and I mean, I can't be just like, I don't know, it just felt like a lie. I don't have much family here, and you are my family, and I don't want to lose you.
Oh, you won't. I'm always gonna be there for you.
You
Just
will?
like I know you're gonna be for me.
Yes. Okay, I'm relieved.
Thank you.
For the first couple of days, you kept saying you can't fix ugly. And it broke
You
my
all
heart.
have fixed ugly.
We have fallen in love with you. And I didn't really expect to have this moment with you. And you were such an amazing man.
Because you're making me cry.
No, it's okay.
Oh, Tom, you're such a good man.
Sorry.
No.
I'm gonna miss all of you guys. Cheers.
No more hiding. You ready to see? Let's look at your new smile.
Yeah?
It's my pleasure.
Everything in my life has brought me to you. All my regrets, all my choices, all my tears. I don't want to change a thing. I'm ready for our next step to begin. I'm ready for us. Shannon Ann Heller, will you marry me? Be my wife?
This got me.
How was it when he first told you he was gay? He told you when he was 14, right?
Around 14. It took me aback, for a minute and for a while. And it was a process. Brenda, she was one that was always, she would talk to me, about it when God enlightened my heart. We sat around this very table. I sat here. He sat there. And I said, Mama needs to apologize to you. And he looked at me in my eyes and he was like, for what, Mama? I said, because Mama loves you. You know that, right? And he said, yes. I said, but I need to ask you your forgiveness because Mama has not loved you unconditionally. And, he looked at me. He said, Mama, I forgave you a long time ago. And I said, no, I need to hear you say that. Mm-hmm. I said, because the Bible that I read tell me that if I have wronged somebody or mistreated someone, to ask their forgiveness first.
Yeah.
And then I'm free to go to the Father.
Yes.
And I told him at that point, your mama has your back.
Yeah.
She thought her faith told her to judge somebody who's gay. But she chose to see past that. And she saw the individual. She saw the person that her son is, and she changed her mind. She says that it was a religious experience, but she made that choice. Not all parents do that.
This is his top surgery.
When we say top surgery, we mean to get rid of the breast?
Yes.
Yes.
I was born and identified as a woman, but since I was in preschool, I've known that that just wasn't me. I remember when I was 12 years old standing in a mirror and contorting my body in different ways to be seen as more masculine, thinking, I'm gonna get a surgery that makes my body look like this one day.
Want to take a look quickly?
Oh, you
just looked down for the first time.
Wow. We all struggled with coming to the realization of that we were different than everyone else. And I can only imagine just how hard it was to realize that you weren't born with the right body. That he was able to come to that realization and take the steps to become who he truly is. He's an inspiration.
I'm blown away by how fearlessly you embraced this transformation.
Right, exactly. I feel like radiant and beautiful and sexy and confident. I had it in me, but you all brought it out, and I really appreciate it. I just feel like I had pretty much given up on kind, genuine people. Like, really, I did. Because everyone that I met, I felt like they pitied me, they looked down on me, and, you know, they expected me to be someone else, more black, less white, more gay, less gay. I basically just accepted that the real world sucks, and family doesn't exist, unconditional love doesn't exist. You all just show me that it's beautiful and sexy to, like, care for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's, like, cute and confident to just be black and be gay and be a woman, and what that is me, and I'm always that.
Yeah. So when we were packing up the old house, you know, I told you I wanted to make sure I made a very special place for you to keep your memories. Oh, man. And all the cards said, you know, be nice to your brother. So what I did was,
Oh my goodness.
I had it made in her handwriting.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Thank you so much, that's beautiful.
I thank God for this week. This week, we worked with the Fab Five. They put their whole heart into the community center out there. These are 5 gifted men who are gay. And through the course of the week, you know, we were able to build some relationships. That's what it's about, building relationships. They shared with me how they have been just torn down and rejected. And the church has turned their backs on them. How can I say that I love God, but I cannot love the ones who are right there next to me? I would call myself a hypocrite. And I say I was around 5 gay men. I was around 6. My son walked away from the church, you know, and it's been my prayer that he comes here and feel the love, you know, the love that Pastor Favor founded this place on. The love that surrounds me every Sunday. Do I love Jesus? Yes. Am I a believer? Yes. Do I love my son? Yes. 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 Yes.
All right, so just let me go over a little bit of what I see happening in these moments, and then we can talk more about body genres and about the particular thing that might engage us here. This is obviously melodrama in the sense that it's about a heightened, excessive form of sentimentality, right? It's taking these moments and putting them front and center and saying, this is what it's about, right? It's about these moments of feeling. But it seems to me to be interestingly taking up the very issue of relationality that I just ended with before we saw the clips, right? This idea of crying as intersubjective, as a sense of relating and creating relationships through empathy.